Hi everyone, my name is Evelyn Mabie, and today I will be presenting our research, which is examining the portrayals of minority groups in African American focused news media for the Communication Department's celebration of undergraduate research. I am presenting on behalf of Brandon Ford, Kobe Gibson, Caitlin Tate, Christopher Josie, and Andrea Figueroa Caballero. To begin, my name is Evelyn Mabie, as I stated before. I am a sophomore communications major, and this is my first year a part of the ASH Scholars Program. This program is jointly sponsored by the Honors College and the Office of Undergraduate Research, and it employs a team approach to research. So we all work together on this project. Now to get into the actual project, to begin, just a little bit of background information. This first part is about how African Americans are portrayed in the news. The media commonly stereotypes women and people of color, and the news often negatively depicts African Americans and associates Black people with criminal behavior. Additionally, compared to crime statistics, news programs overrepresent African Americans. News media overrepresent African Americans as welfare recipients, and people of color, which is most often African Americans, are disproportionately represented in crime stories, and they are more likely to be presented as the perpetrator rather than the victim. And then we go into our theory and rationale for this project. People of color are presented in highly stereotypic ways within traditional news outlets, and as a result, mainstream media outlets have created an inhospitable environment for minority groups. The effects of this environment have shown to have deleterious consequences on perceptions of African Americans in society. The representation of these groups in social identity focused news outlets has rarely been studied, and alternative media sources could provide a locus of empowerment for people of color. Now to the methods of our project. So the different research methods that we used a digital coding mechanism to code over 600 articles from 4 different African American focused news media outlets. Articles were picked and coded from 1 year's worth of archived news. A total number of articles was divided up so that each student could have 150 articles to code, and 10% of the sample was exclusively used to establish intercoder reliability. All right, and moving on to our results. Okay, so our first hypothesis was that Black characters will be overrepresented on Black-oriented news. And this is just because there are far more Black characters on Black-oriented news sites than on Latinx-oriented media. And we were able to confirm and support that hypothesis. Our second hypothesis is that identity-focused news will feature more favorable portrayals. And then these stories actually did feature Black character in significantly more positive ways than those featuring white characters. And so we were able to confirm that one as well and support that one with our results. All right. So then our questions following that. So African American focused news media underrepresented Asian Americans, and then Arab and Native American groups were represented to reach their population parity, but we would hope for overrepresentation and more favorable portrayals due to the fact that most Americans lack interpersonal relationships with these groups. All right, and then moving on to our discussion. So the implications of our research say that African American centered news sites featured significantly more Black characters in headlines and stories than traditional news sites. And that would be expected based on US Census data. And then they also present far more positive and less stereotype portrayals of Black characters than traditional news sites. They may be skewed towards positive and less stereotypic portrayals as a means to counteract the negative and stereotype portrayals of Black characters in traditional news sites. More positive portrayals may also be the result of African American centered news sites appealing to a majority Black audience. And despite offering more positive portrayals of Black characters, African American centered news sites were more negative than Latino centered news sites. And the discrepancy between Latino and African American focused news sites could be the subject of further research. All right, and moving on to our next steps. As this project continues, we are currently on our second round of data collection, and then the second phase of the project will start next fall, where we will look at the effects of coverage on minority audiences. And then our content will actually be collected and archived for at least 4 years. Thank you for watching this presentation.